Hello, my name is Bethany Carrington and I am the Early Years and Primary Manager here at ATA, and you are currently taking part in the Supporting Teaching and Learning Mentor Training. There's currently 5 or 6 of us, which I'm really pleased about. There's about 9 mentors on the programme, and I know some people are teaching, so might be joining later on, and I think that'll probably be the same in some other schools. So I'm hoping we get a couple more attendees joining us soon, but just a big thank you for those of you who have made the time to attend this training, because I know you've got really busy schedules. I really appreciate it. As there's not many, I might take the opportunity to unmute some of you later on so that you can contribute and we can collaborate together. But for the purposes of this webinar, the use of cameras and microphones are limited to presenters only, just so we can keep the flow of the session. A brief outline of what to expect for today in our session. First up, you're going to know and understand the structure of the Supporting Teaching and Learning programme. Can I just do a check that you can all hear me? Because Iman's just said she can't hear me, but my microphone is telling me that it's working. So can we give a thumbs up in the chat maybe? Oh, I've got a thumbs up from somebody at the bottom. Thank you very much. Megan's typing. Megan's saying that you can hear me. Perfect. So, Iman, it might just be a technical problem on your side. Thank you. Oh, Anna-Mari's saying you can hear me. Perfect. So let me get back to our roadmap for today's session. So you will know and understand the structure of the STL. We'll explore the role of you as mentors. We will compare and contrast some practical examples of effective mentoring. And last up, we will look at your profile as a mentor on the STL as a final ending. Okay. So this is a summary of what the Supporting Teaching and Learning programme looks like. It's a programme that I wrote and delivered last year live, but we have changed how we're going to deliver it for you guys this year, which I will explain further in this session. And I have added in 2 extra modules, just because part of my OCD couldn't handle it. It was 8 modules. We needed to make it around 10. And also just through feedback from the previous round, there were extra modules that we knew would be purposeful in our schools. So first up, we have the first session, which is understanding their role in assisting learning. So IAs, CAs, TAs, any support assistants that you have in the school. Then we will be looking at facilitating group learning and how to support independence, which I think is really key with some of our IAs in our school, but also how to get children to collaborate in groups. Third session will be about scaffolding learning and looking at visual, verbal, written and concrete scaffolds that they can utilise to support learners that might be struggling or learners that need an extra challenge. Then for module 4, we'll be looking at managing student behaviour, focusing on positive behaviour management and reinforcing those positive behaviours that we want to see. And that's fully supported by guidance from the EF on improving behaviour in schools. Then number 5, we have managing the needs of all learners. My colleague Olivia Mottram will be leading that session for you from her inclusion background. Then for number 6, we have catering for English language learners. My colleague Emma Owen will be delivering that one, just because she's got the added skill of dual language herself, which I unfortunately do not. Module number 7 is understanding their role in assessment. So we'll be looking at the importance of learning objectives, success criteria, self-assessment, peer assessment, and how they can keep assessment records and tracking to support the teaching in classrooms. Then number 8 is one of our new modules. It's all about effective intervention. So I'm not going to talk about any specific interventions, because I know you'll have an array of different interventions going on in your school, but we will be looking at how we can make that effective in ensuring that we keep fidelity to whatever the intervention is. We track, we keep records, and then we're also looking at kind of pre-teaching and also same-day catch-ups to identify any misconceptions and iron out any of those misconceptions as well. And then on to module 9, we're looking at the foundations of learning. This is a real key module for any early years teaching assistants that you have, but I still want the primary assistants there and the inclusion assistants because it compares the role of an early years assistant in comparison to primary, and it's just best practice when interacting with children. So that's important for everybody still. And then we will conclude with communicating effectively with stakeholders and colleagues. This was a really fruitful program last year. All of the modules averaged at about a 4.8 stars out of 5, which I was really proud of. And the support staff were just really complimentary of having their own continuous professional development, as were the mentors. Just a small graphic at the bottom, you can see the I do, we do, you do structure of the program, which I will be diving into more detail coming up. Okay. So first up, we're going to look at the program structure. About half of our session today will be quite procedural. This is what the structure is. This is your role. This is what the inclusion teaching CA assistants will experience as part of our learning management system. But some of it will be looking into kind of research and best practice as well. Just to note here as well, this course is supposed to be 2 hours long. I will not be keeping you for that long, but I just wanted to make sure that there was enough time for question and answer. So please be aware that you won't be kept for 2 hours at all. I'm thinking it will be around an hour and we'll have time for question and answer at the end. Okay, so on your screen, you can see the EEF Guide to Implementation Model. And this is from the Education Endowment Foundation. And this is an independent charity set up in England to improve educational outcomes. Now, they fund and evaluate research to find out what works in education to provide schools with practical, evidence-based guidance and tools like this one that you can see on the screen. So let's explore the prepare, deliver and sustain cycle that you can see on your screen. So this shows us how to implement something effectively within our schools. And I just kind of want to reiterate here how you fit into that model. So vaguely, and I'm going to go into this in more detail, I've done lots of the exploration and the research and the evidence-based practice for our teaching assistants. And I have done the prepare phase where I have prepared the resources, prepared the structure of the program and prepared it for online delivery for flexibility and ease for busy schools. In terms of the deliver, you can see that little person icon there in the deliver section of the cycle, because you in your schools are a huge integral part of the delivery. I will physically or online deliver the program to your support assistants, teaching assistants, inclusion assistants. But you need to ensure that you are helping guide and model with the we do tasks, which I'm going to explore in more detail in a moment. You as mentors are also a huge part in the sustain part of the cycle, keeping the momentum, keeping your support assistants engaged and making sure that this is a successful program. And as you can see, this process continues. Okay, now in the centre are some specific behaviours that we want to achieve, and I've made sure that this programme through the structure achieves those behaviours. On the left-hand side, we can see some contextual factors. This is more over to you. So you need to make sure that what is being implemented is something that your school has capacity for with your support assistants in the classrooms. You need to make sure the systems and structures are in place. So do your teaching assistants have access to technology in order to access this course? Will you timetable when they need to complete certain modules by? We'll talk about this more in detail in a moment. You need to make sure the systems are there so it can run effectively. I do all the hard work in the exploring and the preparing and the delivery, but I do need your help as a mentor as well to make sure it's successful. And finally, people who enable the change are you. So we really want to enhance the practice of our support assistants in our school. Apart from teachers and leadership, they are one of the most expensive resources that we pump money into our schools. And actually, if we think about the professional development that is often given to them, it is minimal, if at all. But we do put lots into our teachers and our leaders to make sure that they have continuous professional development. So I really want to push here that you are going to help enable that change and enhance the practice of your support staff, which will in turn enhance outcomes for our children, which is what we are all here for. You can see the visual at the bottom of the screen of the two hands shaking. This is a partnership between myself at ATA and you as mentors, and hopefully we will work together really well to get really good outcomes from this program. Okay, so I'm really hoping this video works. Technology scares me sometimes. I'm going to play you a video which just kind of enhances what I've explained to you from the EEF. And just as you watch this, I just want to reiterate that this is a school's guide to implementation with any continuous professional development or initiative that you're running at your school at the moment, not just for the supporting and teaching and learning program. But I have used this in order to build the structure of the program. So hopefully that brought to life a little bit more about what I was explaining. And here is a summary of what that looks like on your screen. So in the Explore, we're assessing the needs and the setting and assessing the approach, which I have done. And I've ensured that the structure aligns with what we've just watched to ensure that implementation is effective. Then in the prepare, we've got the plan and design and practically prepare, which I have done and made sure that it's all uploaded onto the online management system, which I will talk you through. So it's flexible and can fit around the needs of the school. And then in the deliver, this is where you come in a little bit more with the monitoring and improving and the supporting and encouraging as the mentor. And then finally in the sustain, it's the maintaining the effort and making sure that you can review and act upon what has been done already. So in terms of the STL, just to reiterate and highlight that more for you, in the first section, I've assessed the needs of the ALDAR group and align the approach to support schools. Then in the prepare section, I have plan and decide the programme with evidence-informed guidance. Everything is research-backed, so I'm not just plucking things out of thin air that I think are good. I've made sure I've picked out best bets that are going to help our teaching assistants. Then in the deliver phase, we would deliver the training through a hybrid model to allow for flexibility, and you just need to make sure that you can support and encourage. And lastly, in the sustain phase, the school mentor support for each of the training module will be paramount and be really important here. And I will review the CPD delivery, and I always look at the feedback to keep improving and going through that process again. Okay, so let's move on to the structure as I've been talking about. So just to further iterate the structure of the programme, let's explore each segment one by one. So the programme falls into an I do, we do, you do structure. The I do is a webinar, and you're currently in part of a webinar today that is led by the ATA team. This session aims to provide kind of like actionable hints, tips and practical support in key aspects of the teaching assistant's role. Then in the we do aspect, this will take place in school with the support of you as a mentor. You will work alongside them and you will guide them essentially with the activities that we have given you, okay? And the final you do aspect is housed on the learner management system. And it is a further task that are reflective questions or follow-up activities or research materials or a short quiz, which we would like our participants to take part in, just so we can ensure full engagement and embedding of the learning. Okay, we did this last year with the online modules, but we did the we do and you do activities all through the Padlet, but now it is all on our learner management system. So just to give you a bit more of a visual of the I do, we do, you do process. The I do is the ATA-led webinar. If you have Arabic staff, they'll be doing that live with Iman. But if you've got English staff that are doing my program, that will be on the LMS. We provide you with a Padlet, and the Padlet outlines the support of the mentor and the activities that we would like you to do. It is step by step. It might be reflective questions. It might be supporting a discussion. It might be watching a short clip or video together, and they are about 20 minutes long after each module. And then finally, the you do is further study and implementation. This is put on the Padlet for you as well, but your learners will have that on the LMS system for them to refer to. So I keep talking about the LMS. I just want to show you what that looks like in practice from your participants' perspective so that you know. So we have just launched our new ATA learning management system, and online I have put the videos that go along with each module, and down the left-hand side is their menu that goes along with that module. At the top in the turquoise circle, they can see the percentage of the module that they have completed so far. And then down the left-hand side, they've got the I do, which is the video, the we do, which houses the activity, which could be that they have to download an observation tool and go and complete an observation, and then they will discuss it with you. Or it could simply be a quiz and they will discuss the answers with you. The activities vary, but as I said, this will be available for you on a Padlet, which I will guide you through in a moment. So you will have all the information that you need. They will then click onto the You Do tab at the bottom on the module menu on the left, and that will give them their You Do task. Along with this is always a feedback section as well, which they will need to complete. Whenever they've completed one section, they have to click on the complete and continue button. I feel like this might be an area where they get confused because they can't move through the menu unless they've clicked on complete and continue. And there is a discussion tab underneath every single I do, we do, you do section where they can pose questions that I can answer, or they can add to the discussion part, and other participants can also contribute to that discussion as well. So just to reiterate, the we do and the you do elements are all there ready for participants. Okay, so they will see that, they will know, and you will have the Padlet alongside, so you will know what to do in each of the modules. I'm just going to show you a Padlet now. You can see it on your screen. All of the Padlets will follow the same structure, so you will know what to expect. And just before I launch the program in the LMS system, I will send you a link to every single Padlet, to the 10 modules, so you have them all beforehand, so you can have a click and prepare yourself and know what's to be expected of you as a mentor. On the Padlet, you have the program guide that's got all the contact information of anybody who's contributing from ATA, and just the outline in more detail for every module. In the I do section, you've got a knowledge organizer that goes along with each module. You won't be seeing the video that the support assistants are seeing, but it is all pedagogical approaches that I know that you will be familiar with. And the knowledge organizer is there for you to just kind of see at a glance what they've been doing. I don't want you to have to watch whole 1 hour modules. You've got far too much to do, but the knowledge organizer should be a quick win. You just have a glance, see what the key learning is, and it's a good way of opening up your first kind of meeting as part of the We Do task. Tell me about what you've learned. What can you recall? Walk me through all of these things on your knowledge organizer. And then in the green, that's the We Do section. So this is all for you as the mentor, and you will literally just deliver what is in the We Do section. You can add in extra things if you see appropriate, but please don't take out anything, as otherwise it will remove fidelity to the program. And in the yellow is the You Do task that the participants will be expected to do on the LMS system. And then if there's any additional resources, we add that to the Padlet too. So if you have a handheld device with you, like your phone, if you scan the QR code that you can see on your screen, you'll be able to see one of the Padlets for the first module in action, so you can kind of see what's expected of you. So I'll just give you a moment to scan that. And you can have a little mooch. Please do put your hand up or contribute in the chat if you've got any questions. Because there's not too many of us, I can actually unmute you, and I can talk to some humans during this online session, which is always nice. So please do raise your hand or comment in the chat if you need any clarifications. If you give me a thumbs up again if you've had a little look and you're ready to move on, that would be great. Thank you, Megan. Megan's ready to move on. Thank you, Gloria. Perfect. Okay, we'll move on then. So using the ATA LMS, I am going to give you a bit of an idiot's guide to the LMS, because I really want to make sure that you know what to expect for your participants. I don't want you to have to be technical support, so I'm going to go through it all now so you know exactly what they've got to do. But any problems, please do email me or message me. I'm here to support. Okay, so I will input the information of the participants that you have given me to the LMS, and it will automatically provide your participants with an email. It didn't go to my junk or spam when I was practicing this, so it shouldn't go in theirs either. But if they tell you they haven't got the email, please do get them to check. And it will look like this one on the screen. So it just says you've been added as a student to our Training Academy. It gives them their login, which is their email, and it gives them a password that they need to use, and they can change it if they want to. After that, I will add them as a student, and then I will add them to the STL program. So they will get a second email, which looks like this one, and it just tells them that you have been added to the Supporting Teaching and Learning program. They will then click on the View in Dashboard button that you can see that's blue, which will take them to the dashboard to log in. And the dashboard looks like this, really simple. They put in their email, they put in the password, which was given to them, and they log in. And it is really simple. I've done it myself and practiced, but any problems, do get in contact with me. And then this is the landing page. So it's their profile on the left. It shows that they've got 4 modules so far. I've released the first 4 modules, and I will release the rest of the program kind of as and when it's all been pulled together. But the first 4 modules are there for them. And it will look like these little tiles here. I will share my screen in a moment just to show you so you can see what it looks like in action. They will click on the watch button, and the screen will come up with the module of the I Do. Now, I have set the settings quite strictly, so they can't move forward in the video and say they've completed it if they haven't. They can't move on to the We Do task, and they can't move on to the You Do task until they've done everything that precedes it. For the We Do, they might read about it, pause that module, come and meet you as the mentor, and then they'll come back and complete whatever they need to complete for the We Do and complete the You Do. This is a really important part of the program. Otherwise, it becomes just CPD, and then nothing happens with it, and there's no implementation. And as we've just seen from the EEF guidance, implementation is how we deliver, sustain, and keep that process going so that we can see the change that we want to see in our schools. Okay, I'll just quickly share my screen so I can show you what that looks like online as well. Ooh. Here we go. So they'll just log in and they'll get this page. So it's really easy. They've got their profile there, and they will just watch each one in turn. And over the next few weeks, there will be the full 10 modules here. They can't go away and watch all 10 modules in one. They have to take it step by step to ensure that there will be purposeful implementation there. Okay. Let me get back to sharing the PowerPoint. Thank you for your patience. Okay, and just a date for your calendars. The STL will launch fully in the ATA LMS on Monday, the 10th of November. A week before that, all of your participants will have received their emails and be able to start accessing it. But everything will be live on the 10th of November. Fingers crossed. I'm a bit nervous about it. So if there's any teething problems, please be patient with me. But it's all going to be ready and live for the 10th of November. So if you add that to your calendars, but I'll also send out a calendar holder for you as well in an email. Okay, so a bit more onto the nitty-gritty of mentor support. Let's have a moment to reflect. What characteristics does an effective mentor possess? If you can just have a moment to consider that, and then next up you will need your handheld device to reflect on that question. I'll just read it one more time. What characteristics does an effective mentor possess? We're going to use a platform called Mentimeter in a moment, which I'm sure many of you have used before. You will scan the QR code coming up. There will be a box in the middle of the screen that says what characteristics does an effective mentor have or possess. You will enter the word and click submit. If you can enter a couple of words, that will be great, and we will see what your responses look like. So here's the Menti for you to scan, or you can go to menti.com and use the code on your screen to access the Menti. Brilliant. There's some responses coming up. I will share my screen in just a moment. And I'm just putting the link in the chat in case anybody is struggling. So the bigger the word in the middle of the Menti, the more popular that word has been. So we have got empathy in the middle, which I love, active listening, all the QR codes in the way, that's annoying, patience, being proactive, knowledgeable, supportive, having good subject knowledge. Yes, that's definitely key with some of the concepts and pedagogical approaches that we'll be talking about. But yeah, you've got the right idea of a mentor. Thank you very much. We're going to look at this in more detail now. Let me just get back to the presentation. Sorry, one moment. So empathy is definitely at the core. I appreciate that that was the biggest one because our teaching assistants are very hardworking and we know that they have got the best interests of the children at heart, and that's what we want for our teaching assistants, but we also want best practice as well. So here are 4 models of coaching and mentoring which are popular within education. We are going to have a look at more detail at the mentoring profile that you can see here. So you are a more experienced person, and the main aim of a mentor is to share your knowledge, your experience, and your advice with someone who is less experienced or less knowledgeable. This will be long-term support and development for your support assistants in your school. So this will continue for the rest of the academic year so we can see and support those changes in your school. And the approach is that you give guidance, you role model, you provide encouragement, and you share wisdom. You're not going into team teach, you're not going into coach specifically. Your role is a mentor, and they are proactive in implementing those strategies in the classroom. And lastly, the interaction. You as the mentor will often set the direction based on your own experience. You have got guidance from us on the tasks that we would like you to do during the We Do, but please bring your own knowledge and guidance and expertise to that as well. Okay, so picture this. And this is about teachers from some research from Lemov, Woolway and Yezi, but I think we can apply this to teaching assistants as well. So picture the scene. Teachers are filing out of an after-school CPD session, fired with enthusiasm to try a new pedagogical strategy. The member of the senior leadership team leading the session has really inspired them with the impact that it will have on their students, and the teachers are keen to get started the very next day. If you were to visit the same teachers' classrooms a month later, however, you would be unlikely to see the new technique in evidence. This is what happens when effective implementation is not in place. Okay, and that's why I really want to reiterate that the program structure has kept at the core those behaviours from the EEF, which are unite, engage, and reflect. And you are a key player as the mentor in ensuring those behaviours happen, uniting your team, engaging them in the program, and allowing time to reflect. If we do this, this provides effective implementation of the program, and we will see the changes we want to see. So I'm going to talk you through a couple of scenarios now. You will need a pen and a piece of paper with you. I will read the scenario. I know you've had long days at school. I won't make you read it. I'll read it out loud. You just need to listen. Now, for this scenario, usually we'd look at what went well, but I want you to note down what went wrong in this one, okay? So James is an in-school mentor who has been asked to support his team of support staff through the Supporting Teaching and Learning programme. Instead of joining the sessions with his team, he lets them watch the training on their own and doesn't always check who has attended. He assumes that if someone misses a module, they will catch up in their own time. After the modules are completed, James sometimes arranges meetings, but these are often last minute and not everyone is available to attend. Because he hasn't reviewed the materials beforehand, he isn't always sure what the We Do activity involves and often skips over it. In meetings, he tends to talk briefly about the module, but doesn't really open it up for discussion and check what the support staff understand. When it comes to goal setting, James doesn't consistently ask the staff to set clear actions for themselves. As a result, the team often leave the meeting without a practical next step to try in their classrooms. He also doesn't always remind them of the next meeting or follow up to see how things are going. Over time, the support staff become less engaged in the meetings because they are unsure of the purpose and don't see how they connect it to their day-to-day practice. So, what do we think went wrong? Does anyone want to put their hand up and contribute? I can unmute you and speak to some people. I won't be mean and pick on you or add to the chat. What do we think went wrong in this scenario? I haven't got any raised hands. Are we feeling tired today, everybody? Probably. Let me check the chat. Oh, some people are typing. I love it. Thank you. So Hannah, thank you for your contribution. A lack of engagement in the process, just that it will be assumed that the process will happen on its own. Brilliant. Megan's put just a lack of dedication from James. Definitely. If we want to see the impact, we have got to dedicate some small pockets of time to really guide our support assistants, just like we would guide our teachers. We would provide team teaching for them. We would provide whatever we needed to make sure they were successful. Alicia, thank you. James is not supportive of his team, which leads to them being really unclear of expectations. Amari, brilliant from the start, just allowing them to watch on their own and just not checking it in. We know our timetables are busy. It's just not going to happen. And Gloria, not reviewing the material, not checking for understanding, no practical steps, no follow-up for the team, and people aren't sure of the purpose. I think you covered everything, everybody. Well done. So what went wrong? A lack of accountability for attendance. We don't know who's doing what. We can't see. We're not tracking. Poor preparation for the meeting. James isn't prepared, so he just thinks, oh, it doesn't matter. We'll just move on. Number 3, inconsistent and last minute meetings. Of course, there's going to be moments where things change and you've got to pivot. It's a school setting. We all know that that will happen, but rearranging those meetings in a timely way is what is needed. Minimal discussion and reflection. Just as you've seen in the EEF guidance, one of the key behaviours is reflect and unite and engage. And during the uniting and engaging, that's where the reflection is going to happen. And there's no clear goal setting or follow-up. Okay, let's look at a good scenario. Amira is winning at life. Well done, Amira. So this time, just note down a couple of things that are going well for Amira and contribute them to the chat. So as and when you hear them, for ease, you can type them and add them to the chat if that is better. I will read it for you. Amira is an in-school mentor who supports her team of inclusion assistants and teaching assistants throughout the supporting teaching and learning programme. She has devised a timetable so assistants know when to complete each module on the LMS, and there is a sense of shared accountability. Alongside this, she keeps her own record of attendance so that she can see immediately if anyone has missed a session, and she ensures that they are able to catch up. After each module is completed, Amira arranges a meeting with the support staff that lasts around 20 minutes. Sometimes they'll be much more brief than that, and that's absolutely fine. She gives the team plenty of notice for these meetings, prepares any resources in advance, and makes sure everybody knows the purpose of the follow-up. There won't really be anything for you to prepare. It will be more just making sure that you are mindful of what the We Do task is. Before each meeting, she reviews the Padlet activities, particularly the We Do tasks, so that she knows how to lead the discussion and what focus areas to prioritise. When the meeting takes place, she begins informally asking the team what they found most interesting about the module, use the knowledge organiser here, what they understood clearly and what they might need more support with. She then leads them through the We Do activity linked to the module. In Module 8, for example, Amira and her team watched the EEF guidance video showing an effective debrief between a teacher and teaching assistant. She pauses the video at key points to ask the questions provided on the Padlet and to encourage reflection and discussion amongst the team. As part of each meeting, Amira asked her support staff to set themselves a clear goal related to the module. In this case, the goal was to make time each day to brief and debrief with their class teacher. She asked the staff to try this out in their own classroom and to come back and share how it went the next meeting. Before closing the meeting, she reminds them of the date of the next session and schedules a reminder email to be sent so nobody forgets. Okay? So have we added what went well? We must have seen some things. All people are madly typing brilliant. So Gloria said prior preparation, well organised, consistent follow-up, clarity of the purpose of the We Do meeting, thank you. Amari's put devising a timetable. She keeps her own record, arranges meetings, find out what is interesting about the module, what they understood, what they needed support with. There was goal setting, there was reminders. Amiria was a busy bee, but she is going to have the impact she needs in her school. Thank you for your contributions there. It's not telling me that anybody else is typing, but I can come back to it if needed. So what did go well? As you said, there's shared accountability, there's those follow-up meetings, and it sounds like Amira has already scheduled that by a certain time, she wants Module 1 watched on the LMS, and the meeting for Module 1 will be on such and such date. Module 2 needs to be watched by this specific date, and the meeting for Module 2 will be on such and such date. So she's planned out the first couple of meetings ahead of time to kind of ensure that everybody is free. There is preparation for impact, so she's made sure she's aware of what the We Do task is so she can support those discussions. During the meeting, she's really proactive, really supportive, and it sounds like something that's going to be purposeful and have an impact. There's goal setting and accountability at the end of the session, and she closes that loop by saying, we'll talk about what you did in the classroom, whether you had time for that debrief and the impact that it had. So she's constantly revisiting that loop to help that implementation so that we can ensure that there's impact in your schools. Okay. So that's more of the nitty gritty of what the STL involves in terms of the structure, the LMS and your role. Now, I want to just review some wider implementation around the supporting teaching and learning programme. This is just some things for you to consider based on the guidance. So our programme is based on the latest research from March 2025 from the EEF, which is titled Deployment of Teaching Assistants Guidance Report. There's other research that contributes to other modules, but it has been designed with this in mind. I'm just going to walk you through all of the recommendations so that you've got a brief oversight, and there's some things for you to consider in your own setting and how I will be ticking off each recommendation in my sessions. So recommendation number 1, this is all about deploying TAs in ways that enable all pupils to access high quality teaching. What can be a danger around support assistants is that they are simply used to support the lower ability children, and that the teacher concentrates on the children that are kind of at the expected or exceeding the standards of the curriculum, which means that the students that are in most need have the least qualified adult with them. So we want to avoid that as best that we can. So things for you to consider. Which groups or individuals do your support staff work with most? Does the class teacher work with all groups of children? And do teachers and TAs have time to brief and debrief about the learning from each day so that they are fully prepared for what is going to happen? Now, what we cover at ATA in terms of this recommendation is that we have a session on supporting the needs of all learners in the classroom. So particularly looking at the needs of individual learners and how we can support them best through the EEF 5-a-day approach. We look at building collaboration into group work activities. We promote independence. We often see with our support staff, they have the best intentions, but they're spoon feeding, they're correcting, they're giving answers to children just to get the task done because they perceive that that's what the teacher needs, when actually we need our learners to be as independent as possible. We provide a module on effective communication with stakeholders, but we specifically concentrate on the class teacher that they work with as well. And we look at the role of support staff in making sure they are prepared for learning and what their role might look like in terms of children during a main input from the teacher, just so we're not seeing the support staff kind of sitting back and observing. We want them to be proactive. And again, on to recommendation number 2, this is all around scaffolding and making sure that TAs can scaffold and support to develop that all-important independence. So just some things for you to consider at a school level. Do your support staff have the resources they need to effectively scaffold learning in the moment? So do you have key manipulatives available in your classrooms that will support our learners in the classroom, such as deans, cubes, numicon, number lines, 100 squares, talking tins, iPads, things like that? Do your support staff have access to planning for the day or the week? If not, that's something that we really highly advise that they have access to so they can review what's coming up in the next week. Do your support staff know which units are coming up next and how this learning builds through the curriculum? Often units that come up next is building on some previous learning from a different year group. And I'm not saying that they need a full curriculum review, but do they have a general idea of what's coming up in their year group, why they're learning certain science topic and what their curriculum outlines? So us as ATA, we don't dive into specific curriculums because we have teachers from British curriculum schools and American curriculum schools, but we do look at scaffolding in detail in one of our modules and we do keep revisiting it. And we look at something called the fading support model to kind of reduce that correcting that we often see. We look at how to improve independence and we look at that throughout many of our sessions, and we look at the different types of scaffolds which can be used to support learning, including verbal, visual and written, and we look at what that looks like in core subjects, so maths, English and science, so that they're prepared. Recommendation number 3 is all about interventions. Many of your teaching assistants are hopefully delivering interventions in your schools because it's a really effective way of using the teaching assistants. I've got a question from Hannah. I'll come back to it in the chat in a moment, just so I don't lose my train of thought. And I just want you to consider which interventions are delivered in your school. Are these interventions evidence-based? If not, the EEF is a good place to start with the teacher's toolkit. Who monitors the interventions and checks for fidelity so that they are in keeping with the scheme and the teaching assistants and support assistants aren't going off on their own tangent, and that there's progress going on in the interventions? Do support staff know what progress within the intervention should look like, what they're aiming for? And do the interventions you use build on classroom practices? So we don't want just lots of removal from the classroom. The guidance from the EEF says that we want to, it says here, we want to bridge practices that connect learning between interventions and the classroom. So during reading, that they have some of the reading support in the classroom, but they might be pulled out for 10 minutes, 15 minutes to do their intervention. So for what does ATA cover? We cover a whole module on interventions, what an intervention is, the types of interventions that support staff might deliver. We have a look at an effective, structured, evidence-informed intervention and what that looks like in practice with a small group of children. Then we look into the impact of pre-teaching and their role in pre-teaching and the impact of same-day catch-up to support with those misconceptions. Hannah's question: we have registered some IAs who don't always tend to support teaching and learning or have access to schools materials. Independently, they can ask staff for it, but we wanted to upskill them. Will they still be able to make the most of the course? Not urgent. Yes, I absolutely believe they will, because although we look at, say, a specific intervention, we're also looking at scaffolding broadly and how they would use that scaffolding to support individual children. But if you've got any feedback around that, then please do give me that to enhance the programme further. But I do think inclusion assistants will benefit from it. Even if it's not physical resources that they might have access to, it just helps them think about those verbal and visual scaffolds that they would make in the moment. Okay. Module number 4 is all about preparation and training around effective TA deployment. So things for you to consider. Do teachers have clarity on the role of support staff in their classrooms so that they are an expensive resource? They're one of the most expensive resource after a teacher and leadership that we have in our schools. So are they using them effectively, not just for making resources and displays? Are they pushing the learning of the children? Do teachers know different models of TA deployment? So push out, pull in, flexible groupings, mirror teaching. It's something for you to consider to dovetail what we're doing with the teaching assistants to upskill your teachers as well. Do your teachers and TAs have protected time to look at the data for their class to know and understand who needs most support to make progress? I think there's always a perception that TAs don't need to look at data, but from practice in my own school in the UK, when teachers had to talk about their data to their teaching assistant in a specific kind of training situation, it meant the teachers were having to verbalise the needs of their class and where they were going to put most support in to drive learning forwards, but also that teaching assistants kind of learned more about the class makeup and who needed the most support. So how do ATA cover this in the programme? We will obviously look at the role of support staff and being proactive rather than passive. We will be having a look at how to effectively prepare for their role in terms of resources and having things to use in the moment for scaffolding. We will look at how to communicate effectively with the class teacher and other stakeholders. And this is obviously a 10-module programme devised to enhance what your support assistants do in the classrooms. And number 4 is all about engaging staff in the effective implementation of TAs. So things for you to consider. How will you ensure effective implementation of this programme? I'm really hoping that you can commit to the We Do elements and kind of organise all the parts of the role so that you can meet with each of your assistants in a big team. Don't do them individual. That's not the expectation, so that you can really put in the groundwork for them to implement the learning from the module. Have you got protected time to embed the learning from each module? So the expectation would be you've got 10 modules now. Can you kind of scope out and sketch out when you would want them to watch each of the modules and when you could have the meetings? You won't be able to map out the whole year because things happen, but if you could look at the first 4, that would be great. And we're talking short meetings. They'll be between 10 and 20 minutes. Will teachers and leaders know the programme outline and the module to support the staff who are completing it? So I've given you the module overview and I can send that out in an email or put it on the Padlet so you can circulate that with your teachers as well, so they are aware of what their support assistants, inclusion assistants are experiencing in terms of their professional development. And lastly, what are your current school priorities and how can your support staff enhance this as well? So what do we cover? We're giving you this implementation training for mentors. I'll be constantly available for support and guidance should you need it. We have planned the We Do and You Do activities for you to embed the programme learning. We just need you to deliver and follow it. It's evidence-informed training, so we know that it is quality and it's got best bets that will support and enhance the experience of your students in the classroom. And we are constantly adapting the programme according to your feedback and your needs. And honestly, any feedback is welcome. Okay, we're on to the last little section of our training. I said I'd keep you for about an hour, and an hour is nearly up, but we will have time for questions at the end. So what does your profile look like as a mentor? These are kind of the expectations of you. Shared accountability, so you need to know that the support staff are fully engaged in the programme and keep a record of attendance of who's come to your meetings and kind of follow up if they haven't. Follow up, arrange a meeting with your support staff after each module to embed the learning. As I said, they can't move on with the LMS learning until they've done the We Do tasks and submitted it, and done the You Do tasks and submitted it, to make them accountable. So they will need those meetings with you in order to complete the training. Preparation, I need you to stay one step ahead of your support staff, so ensure you know what the We Do activity is. You will only need to glance at it a couple of minutes or the day before the meeting. It won't be anything that is taxing for you. Prepare for that meeting and arrange the meeting in a timely way. And reflection and goal setting. So you are ultimately there to facilitate conversations with the support staff about the content, unpick if they are unclear on anything, and make time to set those goals, saying, I want you to have those conversations with your teachers from module 8, and I will be asking you how it went in the next meeting. So that's your exact role as a mentor, and I'm hoping it's something that you feel like you can commit to. And we know that the programme will have even more success than it did last year with the structured role of the mentor and having it on the LMS system. Just to finish up, I require some feedback from you if that is okay. So scan the QR code on your screen and I will put the link in the chat if you need it. I always appreciate a 5-star review if you are able to, and any comments and questions that you add to the feedback form, I will always read and review. So I appreciate that as well. If you've got any questions, please put your hand up or put them in the chat and I will answer them. This has also been recorded, so I will send you the link once I've uploaded it so that you have it to refer to if you need to go back to any of the kind of LMS structure slides if your staff are stuck. So I'm just going to unmute you, Hannah. I think it asks for permission. Hey.
Yeah, that's fine. So I've got a couple of questions that I've just written down.
Okay.
So I'll just go from the top. So you mentioned obviously that the start date is the 10th of November, and I know that it's self-paced, but is there a limit to how long they have to be able to complete the 10 modules?
They have a lifetime access to the modules, and it says that as they log on, you've got lifetime access. I want to be able, it will automatically issue certificates, but I want to be able to track. So kind of this cohort, I'd like it to finish at the end of the academic year, but obviously you might just have a couple of people that have got to catch up or they were off sick for a little while. So if you've got those individual circumstances, just talk to me about it and I will leave it open for longer. But otherwise, I like to close it at the end of the academic year so that I can roll it out again for the next academic year.
No, that's fine. That's realistic. And then there's a couple of staff who maybe have been registered in English. If they find for whatever reason that they'd like to change to Arabic, is that possible? Just because I know that you mentioned that their sessions are going to be live.
Yeah.
And then if they are live, will they be recorded and then they'll have access to the LMS afterwards? How does that work? Just because I've got quite a few Arabic.
Yeah, so we took the ones that you highlighted as Arabic, we've moved them over to Arabic. But if they start mine and they can't access it as they should be able to, what we will do is when Iman does her sessions in Arabic, they will be recorded live, and then that video is uploaded to the Padlet. The Padlet sent out to mentors, so they do have that as a reference. They will just have to register their attendance via the QR code at the end of the kind of live sessions. And if they don't do that, we can't track that they've attended. So then they can't get certification that they've attended all of the modules. So it's more tricky if they don't attend live, but there is the possibility to catch up.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah. Okay. And then finally, I'm not sure if others are worried about this, but the time commitment that Amina gave seems like a lot. And I realize that that's sort of like ideal scenario, but I do have a lot of my staff that I've grouped. So they might have up to like 14 staff. So I guess my question would be that can they meet in a group and do like a quick Q&A like that?
Yeah. That's what the program's intended to do, which is why we've got fewer mentors and more
Yeah.
participants is because I am not expecting you to commit 10 minutes to individual groups. I'm expecting you meet them all together in a room and it's a Q&A. You're basically ensuring accountability, facilitating discussion and clarifying. Lots of the We Do tasks are that they've done a mini observation and they're now coming to discuss, and what they would submit on the LMS is just a few notes about what they discussed with you or what they saw, a reflection basically. The We Do element is just to keep the momentum, to complete those behaviours of unite, engage and reflect really. But yet please do meet them in a big group. Don't be doing individual or small. And Amira is an absolute ideal situation, but I am very realistic about what happens in schools. But I just kind of want to reiterate that your role is really important, and the more that you can kind of commit in terms of those little meetings, the more we'll get in terms of impact to the children in the classroom.
That's great. Thank you. I just know that I was like, that's a lot. Amira's great, but
Amira's in the scenario as a great candidate, but I know that that's not always possible. But honestly, I'm thinking 10 minutes, a big group. It can be done in the morning, just at a certain point after they've done the meeting, but they will need some sort of meeting, even if it's on Teams, online, just because they can't complete the We Do for all of the modules unless they've had that discussion with you.
But obviously, if they're working through it at a self-paced process, how will we how will we give them the 10 minutes after each of the videos if they're all watching it at different times? Would we pace them and say we're aiming for one a month? Okay.
Yeah, so that's what I advise you would do. It's self-paced, but they can't move on unless they've done the bits before that. So say they've watched the You Do, they can't move to the We Do unless they've done the You Do. So I would now, as mentors, just map out the first 3 modules. I want you to have watched module 1 by this point. So it's live on the 10th of November. Maybe you give them 10 days. And then I want you to have watched module 2 by this point and module 3 by this point. And then you would plot in where you can have those 10-minute meetings. Even if you just stay one module ahead of them and say, I want you to watch module 1 by the 20th of November and our meeting will be on the 22nd of November, you can plot then. So it allows you flexibility if you've got a big event in school and you can't do anything for a couple of weeks, and then you might have some modules that are closer together.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much. I don't know if I've covered other people's questions, but I'm going to be quiet now.
Thanks, Hannah. Any questions from anyone else? Thank you for attending. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate your role. I have picked a school that I will be tracking to kind of see implementation, but I would love the opportunity to come into any schools who are delivering this programme and kind of support and enhance and get your feedback. So I'll be in contact about that. Thank you for joining today. I hope you've completed the QR code feedback, and I'll look forward to seeing the progress of this programme. Thank you very much.